In your second part, you were talking about how when you were a kid, the way that you didn't laugh at these remarks that were said at you made the children hate you and made them actually bully you, so almost that was a cause of it. That could be a cause of many people's bullying, the fact that they just can't take a joke, and maybe they'll realise that when they're older, like you have. But for me, I had laughed it off. I don't know whether I didn't understand what they were actually doing to me when I first entered high school. But when the names were first said at me, I found them quite funny, and I thought, okay, that's quite funny. I laughed. I sort of acknowledged that they were doing it, looked at them, laughed with them, not at them, because that could actually provoke more bullying. But then it just kept getting worse. I laughed at it, and sort of, I acknowledged it. It kept on going, and it kept on being more people heard what they were saying. They thought, hell, that's really funny, and this kid isn't responding in a violent way, so he's almost letting us do it. So they kept on doing it, it kept on getting worse, and then it just got to the point where I thought, it's gone past a joke now. These kids are verbally assaulting me, and I can't handle that. And I can't just ignore it like everyone's advice is, and it seems that the bullying was changing me as a person. And adults didn't seem to notice that. You say that adults should have noticed this and said to the kids, leave this guy alone. I think I was making visually noticeable differences. I was just changing. But the adults never realised that. I think they realised it and they saw it, but they didn't acknowledge it. I think it was sort of like, he's a quiet boy. He's obviously got problems, it's okay, because he's quiet, he's not gonna, make any fuss about this, just leave him. And then it just came to the extent where I just had enough with the place, and I started taking days off, and it came to one day when I was taking a day off around a friend's house, and my mother received a phone call saying, your son hasn't come to school and there is nobody picking up at home. So my mum thought I had ran away, and when I went back home, I explained to her that the bullying had it was just enough. Hi, I'm sorry about the random cut. My camera ran out of space. Okay, I think I was talking about the time that the times that I stayed off school and I was eventually found out. Well, what happened after that was my parents went into the school to discuss the situation after they found out that the reason I was staying at home was because of the bullying, and it was getting too much. So at that point, the adults, the teachers, definitely knew what was going on, but they still seemed to almost shun it. They didn't really want anything to do with it. I think at schools, bullied kids, the situation, I think, almost scares them. They don't want anything to do with it. I don't quite know why. I've never been in their situation, but I am imagining it's quite a sticky situation for them, and they don't really want to get involved. They just want to brush it under their carpet and pretend it never happened. Just like what I wanted to do with bullying, I wish it had never happened, and I wish I could just brush the entire situation under the carpet and forget about it all. But unfortunately, it's not as easy as that, and it does have consequences on you. But back to the talking about adults' role in children's bullying. I don't think my teachers fulfilled their role. It was a case of speaking to me. I think it was once after the event where I was found out to be skipping school, and I identified one child to them, and they had a word with this kid, and that kid came and apologised to me, which was great. Perfect result, and they never did it again. Unfortunately, it was most of the school bullying, and it can become quite hard walking around, have somebody call you a name, to look over at them, to try and get their head, to try and get what they look like in your mind so you can identify them, for them to say, yeah, what are you looking at? For them to further the bullying, and to do this with absolutely everybody that says something. And somebody said something, walking in between every single lesson, every single day I was there, so somebody would say something to me at least 5 or 6 times a day, and it doesn't sound much to the average person, but every day of the year for 5 years, right as you're going through puberty, it's not very good for the mind. So yeah, the adults knew about it. I think things like Columbine and the VA Tech shootings could have been prevented just if some adults with some sort of authority took 2 seconds out of their busy lifestyle and actually gave a damn and actually thought, you know, these kids have problems, we can help them. Obviously it's too late for that when they went into the school with guns and shot their classmates, and then they're all like, no, nothing to do with me. I don't think adults fulfill their part in bullying, personally. I think there's so much more they could do, because children look up to adults, and at the sort of ages that these people doing the shootings are, they probably are still looking up to adults, and those adults could do something. Very rarely they do, and these things happen. But then he went on to talk about the how the Virginia Tech guy, he was quite old, and he should have known better. He was old enough, I think, to realise the consequences of his actions. So I think he is one of those people that would have done something like that sooner or later, whether he did it then or not. I just think he was the sort of person who had that mindset. But when it comes down to it in reality, I don't think most people would, as I've mentioned before. But there's still a possibility. Anyone can do anything when they're pushed. And when they're pushed as far as I was pushed, I think, you know, it's lucky I don't live in America, I'd say, but then saying that, if I lived in America, I sure wouldn't have got the same sort of abuse that I did from here. I think that's pretty sure. Okay, so again, I thank you for your video response. They definitely help, and when it's from somebody, when it's from an adult who has been in the same sort of situations, it is definitely very helpful, and I thank you for that. I hope we can continue this discussion. And yes, thank you. I look forward to hearing from you again.